The women we've met so far have been determined, smart, strategic, and hardworking. Let's take a moment now to hear from three modern makers on what traits they think help to make women of both the past and the present such effective leaders.
I think problem-solving skills, we got the big reward on that.
I think women who use their power well, use their power to lift others up without diminishing their own value.
Women, I think, tend to be much more inclusive. They are much more open to compromise. They want to have a variety of people involved in the process and the decision-making.
While our last two makers established successful careers by building up Southern Nevada's communities, our next made hers by informing the people within those communities. Las Vegas native Myram Borders made her mark in the field of journalism. Borders documented the news and dispensed it to the world.
I, in effect, grew up with Las Vegas. My parents moved here when I don't even think I was in kindergarten yet. There was 8,000 people in Las Vegas when they came here.
Borders studied journalism at the University of Nevada, Reno, and went on to work for United Press International, a wire service providing news to thousands of newspapers, television, and radio stations. Journalism was still a very much male-dominated field in the early 60s. Being a female reporter had its advantages and disadvantages.
They aren't concerned at all about the competition because a woman couldn't possibly beat them. And so, in a sense, that's a great advantage. As far as actually covering news, there was what I called a uniform syndrome. It related to sports, military, and law enforcement. Every time you ran into any of those three levels covering stories, a woman had trouble.
In 1965, Myram Borders was promoted to the Las Vegas bureau chief for UPI. For years, Borders' UPI byline appeared worldwide and covered many of the nation's most captivating news stories.
I was involved in the Manson trial, the Charlie Manson trial with the Sharon Tate murder. I covered a portion of that. I covered a portion of the Bobby Kennedy assassination.
In Nevada, Borders covered nuclear tests at the Nevada test site and organized crime. Myram Borders, who served as an inspiration to countless up-and-coming female journalists, had some mentors of her own.
I think my mentors were probably other women that were in the fight with me.
I would say Myram was the greatest mentor I've ever had. She showed me by doing how to be tough but fair.
While Borders was establishing herself as an icon in the field of journalism, our next maker was becoming a community leader. Lily Hing Fong and her husband Wing came to Las Vegas in 1950. They opened the popular Fong's restaurant and eventually moved into real estate development. Lily Fong, a college graduate, became an educator and education advocate.
She was hired as the first Asian American to teach in the Clark County public school system.
Just 2 years later, Clark County recognized her as an outstanding teacher. Her belief in the power of education eventually led her to join and then become state president of the American Association of University Women.
She eventually ran for University Regent in 1974 and served until 1984.
Lily and Wing Fong shared their gains in business as benefactors and volunteers within their community. The makers we've met thus far have spent their careers helping to build, to inform, and to benefit Southern Nevada's communities. Coming up next, we'll meet some amazing women who achieved great things at a time when our state and our nation were undergoing a great social, political, and cultural metamorphosis.